Favor got the offer on a Thursday afternoon. She had been interviewing for 6 weeks. 3 rounds, 2 take-home assessments, 1 final panel with the department head. The offer came through her recruiter at 4:15, and by the time she read the title Senior Marketing Strategist, she had already decided to say yes. The salary was reasonable. Not exceptional, but reasonable. She negotiated $3,000 above the initial figure, felt good about it, signed the contract on Friday morning, and started the following Monday. What Favor did not do, what almost nobody does in that window between the offer and the first day, was search that exact title on 3 job boards and compare the posted salary ranges against what she had just signed. If she had, she would have found something uncomfortable. The market rate for senior marketing strategist in her city, at companies of comparable size, was running between $18,000 and $24,000 above her new base salary. Not her old salary. Her new one, after the negotiation, she felt proud of. She had not been hired above market. She had been hired at the floor of a band the company had carefully obscured. The title felt senior. The compensation was entry-level senior at best. And the distance between those two things was going to define the next 4 years of her career in ways she could not yet see. This is not a story about one bad offer. It is a story about how job titles became the most sophisticated retention tool organizations have ever deployed. And why the employees who suffer most from it are almost always the ones who were most excited on their first day. My name is Zara. To understand what was done to Favor, you need to understand what a title actually is inside a modern organization. The assumption most employees carry is that a title reflects a function, that the word senior means something consistent. That manager describes a scope of responsibility that travels from company to company with some shared meaning. This assumption is wrong, and HR departments have known it is wrong for longer than most employees have been in the workforce. A title is a compensation anchor. That is its primary organizational function. It determines the band from which your salary will be drawn, the band against which your raises will be calculated, and most critically, the band that will follow you to your next role when a recruiter asks what you were making and what you were called. Mechanism 1. The anchor is set at higher. Favor's salary was not set based on what the role required. It was set based on what she would accept, inside a band the company had already decided on before she applied. The negotiation she had, the $3,000 she pushed for and received, happened entirely within a range the company was comfortable with. She moved within their margin. She did not change the ceiling. The anchor was set on day 1, and every raise she receives from that point forward will be a percentage of a number that was never designed to reflect her actual market value. Mechanism 2. The title delays the reckoning. Here is what the senior in Favor's title actually purchased for the company. It purchased her patience. When her salary fails to reach what the role genuinely commands in the open market, she will not immediately recognize the gap because senior sounds like a rival. It sounds like she is already there. Employees with junior titles feel the pull to move. Employees with senior titles feel the pressure to prove they belong. The company has converted ambition into stillness. Favor will spend the next 2 years performing for a ceiling she believes she has already broken through. Mechanism 3. The title foreclosed external options. This is the mechanism that locks the trap shut. In 18 months, when Favor begins to feel the gap between her compensation and her market value, she will start looking. She will search for director of marketing roles because her responsibilities have grown and a directorship is the honest next step. The recruiter will look at the senior marketing strategist and ask how many people she has managed directly. When she says none because her title never came with a team, only with expanded scope, the recruiter will suggest she might be better suited for a mid-level strategist role first, a step backward. Then she will search for other senior marketing strategist roles, lateral, the same title, the same band, a new anchor. She will not have gone anywhere. She will have moved in a circle at the company's expense while the company invested none of its own. Now meet Marcus. Marcus did not get a title that undersold his market position. He got the opposite, and the outcome was identical. He was hired as head of growth at a 40-person startup 18 months ago. The title was extraordinary. Head of anything at a company that size sounds like executive territory, he told his family. He updated every professional profile he had within the hour. His first week, he was handed a list of cold outreach targets and a login to a sequencing tool. His manager, the founder, explained that the company was in a scrappy phase and that everyone wore multiple hats. Marcus understood. He had worked at startups before. The scrappy phase was real. He was patient. By month 6, Marcus had sent over 4,000 cold emails, managed 3 contractor relationships, rebuilt the company's lead-scoring spreadsheet twice, and attended 0 strategy meetings. The growth strategy he had been hired to architect did not exist yet. The founder told him they were still validating the model. Marcus told himself he was building something from the ground up. By month 12, the company hired a VP of sales. The VP of sales was given a team. The VP of sales sat in the strategy meetings. Marcus was asked to brief the VP of sales on the lead data he had been maintaining for a year. He was head of growth. He was briefing the person who had been given the authority his title implied. The title had been a recruiting instrument. It had pulled Marcus out of a role he had been performing well in, with real scope and real visibility, and placed him inside a function that needed cheap, motivated labor with a prestigious enough name to feel like it was worth the trade. When Marcus began applying for new roles, the trap revealed itself completely. The head of growth looks extraordinary on a resume. Recruiters at Series B and C companies were intrigued. The first interview question was always some version of, "Walk me through a growth strategy you architected end to end." Marcus could not answer it, not because he lacked intelligence, because he had spent 18 months executing, not architecting. The title said one thing, the experience said another. Every interviewer found the gap within 15 minutes. His title had oversold him into a role that underdeveloped him. Favor's title had undersold her market value while keeping her comfortable. Different mechanisms. The same outcome. An employee whose external mobility has been quietly, structurally compromised not by anything they did wrong, but by the deliberate misalignment between what they were called and what they were actually built to do. The employees who avoid both versions of this trap do something specific and consistent. Every 6 months they audit the gap. They search their exact title on 4 or 5 job boards and read the posted responsibilities carefully, not the salary, the responsibilities. If what is described in those postings is work they stopped doing 18 months ago because they have grown well beyond it, their title is suppressing them. If what is described bears no resemblance to their actual daily function, their title is misrepresenting them. Either gap is a clock. Every month it stays open. The distance between their resume and their real capability widens in ways that compound quietly and become expensive suddenly. They learn to read stall language precisely. When a title correction is genuinely in progress inside an organization, it has a date, it has a budget code, it has an approval chain someone can name. When the response to the conversation is, "We are evaluating titles across the department," or "after the next cycle," or "once we get through this restructure," that is not an update. That is a managed delay. Organizations do not accidentally forget to correct a title. They make a calculation about whether the correction costs more than the retention risk. If the answer favors delay, the language of delay is what gets deployed. They negotiate title and scope before they negotiate salary. The salary conversation happens inside a band the company has already set. The title and scope conversation, what the role will actually require, what team or budget or strategic authority it includes, happens before the band is anchored. Most candidates negotiate prices. The employees who avoid the trap negotiate the job first. Favor is in her 2nd year now. Her responsibilities have expanded significantly beyond what her job description outlined. Her title has not moved. When she brought it up at her last review, her manager said the company was working through a compensation benchmarking exercise and that her role would be reviewed in the next cycle. She believed it. She should not have. The benchmarking exercise is real. The conclusion was reached before it began. The company knows what favor is worth to them inside their structure. They also know what it would cost to correct the gap honestly. And they have decided quietly and without malice that favor's patience is cheaper than that correction. She is not an employee being invested in. She is a position being held. The job title did not put her there. The job title just made sure she did not notice until the exit cost more than she expected. The most expensive thing a company can offer you costs them almost nothing to print. Learn to read what the title is doing before you decide what it is worth. Your title is not your identity. It is a lever. Understand who is pulling it and in which direction before you build your career around it. If this is the kind of content that makes you stop and rethink what you thought you already understood about how organizations actually work, subscribe to this channel right now. This is exactly what we do here. No motivation, no generic career advice, just the systems, named and explained, so you can move through them with your eyes open. Hit subscribe. New videos drop regularly, and the next one is something you will not want to miss. Subscribe to Zara versus the Workplace. The next one is already built.